we're going to do some interesting halachot. According to Kabbalah, these days are the days of Shovavim. Shovavim is days that you have to do shubah for sexual. So the laws that have pertaining with men and women mixing. Actually, one of my students in Israel asked me the laws of Yichud. Hopefully we'll get to that in the next few weeks. But here the Shulchan Aruch in chapter 21 says, צריך אדם להתרחק מהנשים מאוד מאוד. It says you have to, a doctor would like this one. It says you got to stay away from women that are not your wife very, very far. They actually, one time, according to halacha, we're not really supposed to shake hands or hug women. So they asked the Lubavitcher Rebbe, God bless his soul, that, it's uncomfortable because sometimes your banker or your loan officer or whatever. So he said, in our religion, we're only allowed to touch our wife. So I told it to a few of my bankers. She said, she was an Asian lady. She said, I want to convert to your religion. I love your religion. So she said, by the way, this idea that we have to, the sexes have to be far away from each other. That's why if you go to a religious wedding, it's mixed. They don't dance together. They don't sit together, some of them. But it says it's in Pirkei Avot, because in Pirkei Avot, we learn in the first chapter, somebody that talks too much with women is going to end up in hell, and he doesn't learn Torah. So the most classical book of Jewish ethics is Pirkei Avot. So already in the beginning of it, the first chapter is telling us. So here the Shulchan Aruch says you have to go far, far, far away from mixing in with women. ואסור לקרוץ בידיו ברגליו ולרמוז בעיניו לאחד מהעריות. Anybody that you're forbidden to sleep with, you cannot play flirt with them, with your eyes or with your cheshmako, your feet and this stuff. And my Rosh Yeshiva once, he was one of the greatest men I ever knew. He explained that basically the most intimate piece of your life, the secrets of your life, you're only supposed to share it with one person, especially your emotional, your sexual thing. And that's the holy union of a husband and wife. Once you defile that and you mingle and you give your intimate secrets and your love and your romance to other people, that's not kosher. So it's forbidden to joke with other women and to do lightheaded stuff, because להביט ביופיה, it's forbidden. A lot of people don't know this, but every day said in Shema, it's a penalty to be a woman. It says, it says, don't go out your eyes, and you cannot obviously smell other women's perfume, and obviously the worst thing is, in the olden days, women used to pull up their pants and stuff to go into the river. There was no laundry. So if the local riverbed, that's where the women would, sometimes have to pull up their sleeves. And you have to understand, my Rosh Yeshiva said that in New York, when he was growing up, the public schools had a different entrance for boys and girls. And one time I was in Brooklyn, I saw a school, it was like built 200 years ago. It literally said, it was engraved in the brick, girls' entrance and boys' entrance. Fast forward to this day and age, there's no shame. And like Rabbi Shofet says, you go to weddings, the woman is a grandmother, for crying out loud. She reveals her entire top. So it's forbidden to do stuff like that, to look at women, their sexy clothing. Or, in the olden days, like in Jerusalem to this day, a lot of people, they hang their laundry on the, what do they call it? The rack outside. So if a woman has put her intimate clothing there and she's not your wife, you're not supposed to look at that, according to halacha. If you know who the woman is, especially, right? Vaefילו, because this brings person to come to bad, dirty thoughts. It says if you were in the bazaar, in the shuk, and you came face to face with a woman, it's forbidden to walk behind them. Because we know one of the most attractive parts of the women is, Hashem made the women to be able to have children. So the Gemara actually says, I'd rather walk behind the lion and not behind a woman. So that's why in Judaism we don't do ladies first. If you come to a crossroad, again, sometimes, see, it's better to forgot to be A+ on a credit card between you and God than you and, being a gentleman. There's no mitzvah in the Torah necessarily, according to non-Jewish standards, to be a gentleman, but there's a mitzvah to follow the book of Jewish law. So it says, let's finish this. It says, so what should you do if you're behind a woman? You have to run ahead of her or walk to the side of her. Do not ever walk by the house of a prostitute, harlot. Solomon, if you read Mishlei, always talks about this because it's a dangerous thing. So a red light district, God bless my dad's soul, he was against this type of stuff as much as gambling. So one time there was the shopping owner's broker's thing in Las Vegas. It was in the Caesar's Palace. He walked a mile to get to the conference room, not to walk to the casino, he told me. So we don't go near bad stuff. And it says, even if you look at this small pinky of a woman to have pleasure from her beauty, it's like you looked at her private part. It's not good. So we do not, if you want to have sexual pleasure, that's why you need to get married. But to look at other people, that's not allowed. We can't listen to women to sing. So I hate to burst your bubble. We're not allowed to go to the cabaret because it's forbidden for Jewish men to listen to any woman sing. It's called kol isha. That's a sexual thing that arouses you, and women have to cover their hair. Anybody that doesn't follow these laws in the time that we had a Supreme Court would be shalach, would be makat mardut, and these are the times that we do teshuvah these days according to Kabbalah. That's why I said these.